Hello, my name is Andrew Kline.
And my name is Andrew Schaeffer. Our project for engineering design and development was to create a self-sustainability calculator.
In order to create a self-sustainability calculator, we developed a code that asks a series of questions and then performs calculations to help produce information for the user. Most of the data and research we used to perform and develop the calculations was collected from government agencies, but mostly from the United States Department of Agriculture.
In order to complete the project, we followed the design process. The design process can be broken down into 6 simple steps, including defining and justifying a problem, generating and defending multiple solution concepts, selecting and developing a testable solution, constructing a prototype and testing it, reflecting on and evaluating the solution while reflecting on and evaluating the design process, and finally giving a presentation on the findings and giving a defense on project steps.
We are currently completing the 6th step of the design process with this presentation, since we'll be presenting information about our whole process with our project. We also want to briefly mention that PLTW provides students with timeline resources to schedule out the project. Mr. Buckner also helped to guide us through the process while keeping us all on track for completion.
When we were brainstorming ideas for what our project would be, we sat down and evaluated our individual strengths, and we found that we had many of them in common. Andrew and I are both involved in the agricultural science program and FFA, as well as having skills with researching. My agricultural background includes agricultural engineering, agronomy, food science, and plant science and horticulture.
I share much of the same agriculture background with Andrew, but I also bring skills to the group like environmental science and agriculture biology. Also, I have taken some previous courses in computer science, which allowed us to enter into the realm of coding projects. After evaluating all of our skills, we found that the project idea we selected incorporated all of our primary skills.
After having selected our project idea, we started to complete research on self-sustainability and previous projects that had similar ideas. We found that there was a huge push for self-sustainability in the United States, but there was no real product that can help people plan for that new lifestyle. Through all of our research, as well as the review of Mr. Buckner, we only found tips and little pieces of information to help with home plant and animal growth and other portions of self-sustainability, but we couldn't even find a print guide to help guide someone through the process.
After completing more research and discovering what our project really would be, we developed a problem statement. Our problem statement is as follows. In 1972, the first use of modern sustainability was used, and since then, a void has been present to help people achieve sustainability, since the number of farmers in America has decreased by over 5 million people. In 2012, 180,000 American households were living off the grid, and that number has increased. Our product will help to provide farming and self-sustainability advice for a population that has experienced a major decline in farming and agricultural knowledge.
Some of the research we completed included statistics about why people are becoming self-sustaining, what humans need to be nutritionally nourished, and the different functionalities of home growing.
Found that food prices are increasing in the United States, but that home-growing plants can be a very lucrative financial saving. Also, there are many different tax rebates and government incentives related to sustainable living. There is also the added resource of the plant and animal byproducts that in some cases are multi-million-dollar industries.
The things that we researched the most and used the most with the development of our program was the different nutritional recommendations for people of different genders and ages. We studied the recommended daily calorie consumption, daily fruit consumption, daily vegetable consumption, daily grain consumption, daily protein food consumption, daily dairy consumption, and daily oil consumption. We relied most on the information about fruits, vegetables, protein foods, and dairy because they are the easiest areas to be self-sustaining in.
These images show some of the data that we studied, starting with fruits, then vegetables, then grains, then protein foods, then dairy, then oils. We also found it very important to make sure that every person had access to the same plan for success. so we studied the hardiness zones for both the plants we are using and the different states and regions of the United States. Also, we realized that approximately 55% of the world's population lives in an urban area, which may make sustainable farming harder to accomplish, so we researched and evaluated methods of alternative growing and different methods of storage. This first image is the United States Department of Agriculture hardiness zone map for the entire United States. They also have maps broken down by region like this one for the northeastern United States. We couldn't find maps that included zoomed in areas of Hawaii, Alaska, or the territories, so this third image is a screenshot.
Some of the most noteworthy sources we use include government agencies like the Departments of Agriculture, Health and Human Services, and Housing and Urban Development. We also got information from sources like the American Meat Science Association, PSECU, the Old Farmer's Almanac, Urban Farmer, and many other sources.
While planning our code, we divided the tasks we were seeking to complete into 5 main categories, including demographics, location, preferences, storage, and growing space. We then planned and coded individual phases before adding them to the larger file we refer to as the overall code. The image from that slide of our demographics code plan is presented so you can better see what our planning process was like. As the point person for our code's development, I sat down and outlined plans to code each of the phases so that I had an approximate idea of where to start when writing the code, and so that we had clear documentation of our goals for each phase.
After getting each phase of code written, we tested them to ensure that they were correctly working. Many times this helped us identify some of the errors in a smaller section of code, which made it easier to figure out what was causing the issue and then how to fix it. In some cases, this didn't catch all of the errors, but we feel that a majority of the issues were caught early. Once we had the issues resolved in our overall code file, we had our completed prototype.
An image of our code is presented to show what the user sees when they use our current program. In order to test our prototype, we started by creating a testing plan based on the provided questions from PLTW and Mr. Buckner. Our completed testing plan document can be found on our page of the STEAM Expo website. We did not get to fully execute the process we outlined because of the coronavirus. Ultimately, we did not get anywhere near the minimum number of 30 tests for our data and analysis to be statistically relevant.
In summation, our project is a program that helps ease the stress and struggles with the transition to a self-sustainable life through a series of questions and calculations. However, we aren't done there. We have outlined a long list of possible extensions we want to or can take with our project to help the user experience. We are proud of the product we have already created, but our goal the whole time was to make the user's experience better, and we think that these potential extensions are the next steps we can take to do that.
Our project would most definitely not be what it is today without the help of the people we have outlined here. We send our utmost thanks to Mr. Buckner, Miss Mattioli, Mr. Schaeffer, Mrs. McCandless, Mrs. Hoffman, and the Ole Valley High School administration.
Typically, this would be the part of the presentation where we'd open the floor for questions and comments, but since we are recording our presentations from home, we set up an online platform for you to get in contact with us. To access this form, please visit our projects page on the STEAM Expo website. We have also provided both of our emails on this slide for you to contact each of us directly.
Thank you for taking the time to learn about our project, and don't forget to send us any of your questions and comments.